This is the Google Pixel 3a. It has the Pixel 3's camera on the back, great battery life, a fantastic OLED display. It runs Android the way it was meant to be experienced, and I forgot the most important part, it comes in at a staggeringly good price of $399 US. So I've had the phone for about a week now. What are my first impressions of it? Let's dive in. Now, when Google announced this phone, the Pixel 3a as well as the 3a XL, it does come in a larger version as well. We just have the 3a for this review. When they announced it at I/O last week, I was overall very impressed with the value prop of this phone, but still skeptical. I mean, there's got to be a catch, right? You can't make a phone and sell it in the US for $400 and it be any good, right? Well, after Google sent me a Pixel 3a to try out, and I've been using it as my daily driver over the past week, I have to say that my overall first impressions for this device have been very positive. There are a few compromises with this phone, as you would expect, but overall, they're actually pretty small, and at least for me in the way I use my phones, not a huge deal at all. When I opened the box and first felt the phone, my immediate reaction was that it didn't feel as cheap as some other tech reviewers made it sound. It looks shiny, has a bit of weight to it, but it is still lighter than most phones that I've held, and it feels slick. It's similar to the look of the Pixel 3 as well, though when you feel the sides of the 3a with your fingers, that's where you'll notice the polycarbonate material. But once you put a case on it, you're going to feel the case more than the phone's original material anyway, unless you prefer no case on your phone. Now, speaking of the case, Google also sent me a Pixel 3a case. It's one of the best looking cases, in my opinion, I've ever had for a phone. I personally love Google's design language in general for their products, and the fabric feels just really nice to hold and overall looks very modern. I love the neutral gray color with that pop of peach color on the power button. The only downside is this case is a little bit more slippery than silicone cases that I've had for my iPhones in the past. Overall, the design of the phone is nice and modern. The bezels are pretty thin. There's no notch, which is a plus in my book. And it's nice to see a headphone jack appear on a brand new phone in 2019. Setting up the phone was easy, and switching all of my data from an iPhone was really easy as well, though it took a while for the Pixel to sort through the 100 gigs of data on my iPhone, most of which is music, pictures, and video, which on the Pixel I don't actually need stored locally on the device thanks to Google Photos and YouTube Music. Transferring the data from my iPhone to the Pixel took about 30 minutes in total. Thankfully, the Pixel does guide you through this entire process step by step. The next thing I noticed about the phone was, of course, the screen. Its pixel density is comparable to my iPhone 8 Plus and overall is quite good. Typically, I only see the pixels of the screen when the phone's up pretty close to my face, usually when I'm reading in bed at night. Otherwise, I don't notice them and it's not an issue at all. When I first compared the Pixel screen to my iPhone's, I was really sad that the Pixel didn't have that True Tone display I've come to love on so many of my Apple devices, but over time, I really haven't missed it as much as I thought I did when I was first setting up the phone. The Pixel's 3a display can be configured to different color intensities, and I've been going back and forth between boosted and adaptive, with the latter having colors that pop way more. What are some other things I like about the phone? Well, actually, there's quite a few things to list out here. The speakers sound good and are comparable to my iPhone 8 Plus. They actually sound a little bit more clear to me, though that could be due to just speaker wear with the iPhone 8 Plus that I have since it's coming up on being 2 years old now. Battery life lasts well past all day, and I love that Android gives you an estimated time of when you'll be out of battery. Google gives you a 16-watt charger with this phone, so you can actually fast charge it, versus an iPhone which comes with a measly 5-watt charger that's pretty slow at charging your phone. Google also tells you how many minutes are remaining till the battery is fully charged on the phone screen, which is always on thanks to that OLED display, which is just a very nice touch. The animations of the UI feel fluid, not sluggish, which is surprising given that Google is using a lower tier Snapdragon processor for this phone. Actually, it's been hard to find any areas of sluggishness. I love the back fingerprint sensor. Now, it seems like an odd placement choice when you first pick up the phone, especially if you're coming from an iPhone, but once you get used to it very quickly, and it helps make the one-hand experience of using this phone really great. I also like that you can flick your finger down the fingerprint sensor for notifications when the phone is unlocked. The predicted apps that come up when you swipe up from the bottom of the phone are really useful. It's a bit magical in a way that it knows which app to display and works most of the time. It knows I always use my Garage Door app in the morning when I'm off to work and in the afternoon when I'm coming home from work. All I have to do is flip up to the favorites dock in my app drawer and voila, there's the Garage app right where I need it. Call screening is the best. I think I'm going to have to permanently switch over my personal number to the Pixel just because this feature is so useful. The camera is also pretty incredible. Now, overall, I found it does in fact take better photos than my iPhone 8 Plus. The photos have more detail, less smoothing in my experience. The HDR Plus on the Pixel is better than the HDR that my iPhone has. However, there are a few issues that I have run into with the camera that I'll get into in a second. Related to the camera, the integration with Google Photos throughout the Pixel is a real plus. You get unlimited photo storage and video storage where they just slightly compress the files, but when you actually look at them, you really can't tell a difference. Now, the last thing I really like about this phone are Playmojis. They're these little animated stickers that you can put into your environment using AR and are just kind of silly and adorable, and I don't know why, they're great. Okay, so those are all the things that I really like about the Google Pixel 3a, and there are a lot of things that I do like about this phone. So now let's move on to the things I don't really care for with the Pixel 3a. The most notable thing so far has been that this phone's camera shows LED banding in both photos and videos, which is odd considering I've used a Pixel 2 and it hasn't done this, and none of the iPhones I've had have done this either. If Apple can figure out how to dynamically adjust the shutter speed to get rid of LED banding, Google should be able to figure this out as well, or just give users manual control of the camera's shutter speed. Either way, that would fix this problem. Another downside with the camera is that if you have both motion photos and enhanced HDR Plus both on, when you hit the shutter button, there is a bit of lag before it actually takes the photo, which sometimes means you miss the shot you wanted to take. Now, if you turn off the enhanced HDR Plus, the shutter will go back to being snappy. The Google Assistant wake from squeezing the phone is a bit delayed, and it takes a second before the Google Assistant will start listening to you, which I found to be slightly annoying. I wish it were just a second faster, and then it would be perfect. To wrap things up, I think the Google Pixel 3a and 3a XL will go down as one of the top best phones of 2019. Not because they have some crazy great software feature or hardware design. No, it's because of the value that they are providing to their customers with their affordability and the features that they bring to the table. That is the groundbreaking thing Google is doing with its Pixel 3a line. Now, here in the US and in North America in general, people have just become accustomed to paying more and more for your standard flagship devices, whether it be on Android or iOS. Over the past few years, these flagship devices their prices have been climbing higher and higher. Well, arguably, the actual incremental improvement over previous generations has slowed down somewhat. So what ends up happening is people are paying more for the next flagship device, and they're feeling like they're getting less incremental improvement over the previous generation. With the Pixel 3a, Google has demonstrated that a good phone doesn't have to cost north of $1,000 US. And that's definitely something to take notice of. make sure you stay tuned to the channel because we'll be doing many more videos to come with the Pixel 3a, and of course we'll be doing an in-depth 6 months later review of the Google Pixel 3a out just in time for the holidays later this year. Well, that's it for our first impressions of the Google Pixel 3a. If you like this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button down below, as well as subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more Google related videos like this one. Also, if you have any comments or questions about the Google Pixel 3a, feel free to drop them below in the comments section. Well, that does it for me. I'm Josh Tedder for 6 months later. Thanks for watching.